What if I told you that your constant hunger has nothing to do with willpower and everything to do with hormones? If you feel hungry again just an hour after eating, crave sugar late at night, or never truly feel full no matter how much you eat, your body might not be broken, it might be hormonally confused. Hunger is not random. It's controlled by a powerful system of hormones working behind the scenes every single day. And when that system becomes unbalanced, your appetite can feel completely out of control. Let's start with one of the main players, ghrelin. Ghrelin is often called the hunger hormone. It's produced mostly in your stomach and signals to your brain that it's time to eat. Normally, ghrelin rises before meals and drops after you've eaten. But when you're sleep deprived, stressed, or constantly dieting, ghrelin levels can stay elevated longer than they should. That means your brain keeps receiving the message, eat more. Now meet leptin, the hormone that does the opposite. Leptin is produced by your fat cells and tells your brain that you're full and have enough energy stored. In a healthy system, leptin helps shut down hunger after a meal. But here's the problem. Many people develop something called leptin resistance. Leptin resistance happens when your brain stops responding properly to leptin's signal. Even if you have plenty of stored energy, your brain thinks you're starving, so it increases hunger and slows metabolism at the same time. That's why some people feel constantly hungry even when they're gaining weight. Then there's insulin, the hormone most people associate with blood sugar. Every time you eat carbohydrates, insulin helps move glucose from your bloodstream into your cells for energy. But when you eat frequent high sugar or highly processed meals, insulin levels can stay elevated for long periods. Over time, this can lead to insulin resistance. When insulin is high, your body is in storage mode. Fat burning slows down. Blood sugar fluctuates more dramatically. And when blood sugar crashes after a spike, your brain triggers intense cravings, especially for quick carbs and sugar. It's not weakness. It's biology trying to stabilize energy. This creates a vicious cycle. You eat refined carbs, blood sugar spikes, insulin rises, blood sugar drops quickly, hunger returns often stronger than before, and the cycle repeats. Chronic stress adds another layer. When you're under constant pressure, your body releases cortisol. Cortisol can increase appetite, especially for high-calorie comfort foods. It also interacts with insulin, making blood sugar regulation more difficult. That's why stressful days often lead to stronger cravings, particularly in the evening. Sleep plays a massive role too. Just one night of poor sleep can increase ghrelin and decrease leptin the next day. That hormonal shift alone can make you feel hungrier and less satisfied after meals. Your body is simply trying to compensate for lost energy. Now, think about modern life. Many people skip breakfast, snack constantly, drink sugary beverages, sit for long hours, sleep inconsistently, and live under chronic stress. All of these habits push hunger hormones out of balance. And here's something important. Your body is designed to protect you from starvation, not from abundance. When it senses restriction, like extreme dieting, it reacts by increasing hunger hormones and lowering energy expenditure. That's one reason strict diets often backfire. The more aggressively you restrict, the stronger your hunger signals become. So if constant hunger isn't just about willpower, what can you do? The solution isn't eating less, it's restoring hormonal balance. One of the most powerful tools is protein. Protein helps increase satiety hormones and stabilize blood sugar. Meals that include adequate protein tend to reduce ghrelin more effectively than meals high in refined carbs. Fiber is equally important. It slows digestion, reduces blood sugar spikes, and feeds beneficial gut bacteria that influence appetite regulation. Healthy fats also play a role. They slow gastric emptying, helping you feel fuller longer. A balanced meal with protein, fiber, and healthy fats creates a steadier hormonal response compared to a meal dominated by sugar or refined starches. Reducing ultra-processed foods can dramatically improve hunger control. These foods are engineered to be hyperpalatable, meaning they override normal satiety signals. They're often low in fiber and protein, but high in refined carbs and additives. making it easier to overeat before your brain registers fullness. Improving sleep may be one of the most underrated appetite control strategies. Consistent, quality sleep helps reset ghrelin and leptin levels. Even small improvements in sleep duration can make a noticeable difference in hunger the next day. Stress management is equally critical. Deep breathing, walking, strength training, time outdoors, and limiting overstimulation can help lower cortisol levels. When cortisol stabilizes, cravings often become more manageable. Another overlooked factor is meal timing. Constant grazing keeps insulin elevated throughout the day. Allowing structured meals with breaks in between can give insulin levels time to fall, which may improve metabolic flexibility and reduce constant hunger signals. And finally, hydration matters. Mild dehydration can sometimes be mistaken for hunger. Drinking water regularly supports digestion and can help differentiate true hunger from simple thirst. When you step back and look at the full picture, constant hunger isn't random. It's your body sending signals based on hormonal input. If those hormones are dysregulated, your appetite will feel dysregulated. But here's the hopeful part: hormones respond to habits, they respond to consistent sleep, they respond to balanced meals, they respond to reduced stress, they respond to movement. Your body is not trying to sabotage you, it's trying to protect you based on the signals it receives. When you start supporting your biology instead of fighting it, hunger becomes more predictable, cravings soften, energy stabilizes, and eating begins to feel natural instead of chaotic. This isn't about eating perfectly. It's about understanding the system controlling your appetite and working with it instead of against it. When you begin to understand that your hunger is hormonally driven, something powerful happens. You stop blaming yourself. You stop thinking you lack discipline. And you start asking a better question: what is my body trying to tell me? Let's go a little deeper into how this imbalance builds over time. Imagine you start your morning with a sugary coffee and a refined carb breakfast. Within minutes, your blood sugar rises quickly. Insulin follows to move that sugar into your cells. At first, you feel energized, focused, and maybe even satisfied. But because that meal lacked enough protein and fiber, the sugar is absorbed rapidly. Insulin works hard, and a couple of hours later, your blood sugar drops just as quickly as it rose. That drop triggers your brain's alarm system. Low blood sugar is perceived as a threat, so your brain increases hunger, cravings intensify, especially for fast energy like bread, pastries, or sweets. Ghrelin rises again, cortisol may rise too. You reach for another quick snack, and the cycle repeats. Over weeks, months, or years of this pattern, your cells can become less responsive to insulin. That's insulin resistance. Now your body needs to produce even more insulin to handle the same amount of carbohydrates. Higher insulin means more fat storage and more difficulty accessing stored fat for energy. And here's the key: when your body can't easily access stored fat, it depends more heavily on incoming food for fuel. That makes hunger feel more urgent and frequent. This is what many people describe as feeling hangry, irritable, shaky, unable to focus until they eat. That's not weakness. That's unstable blood sugar combined with hormonal signaling. Now let's talk about leptin resistance more clearly, because this is often misunderstood. Leptin is supposed to signal long-term energy sufficiency. When fat stores increase, leptin levels rise to tell the brain, we have enough. Appetite should decrease. Metabolism should stay steady. But with chronic overeating of processed foods, ongoing inflammation, and persistent high insulin levels, the brain can become less sensitive to leptin's signal. The message gets lost. Even though leptin levels are high, the brain behaves as if they're low, so hunger remains elevated and metabolism may subtly slow. This is one reason why simply eating less can feel impossible. Your biology is pushing back. Now layer stress on top of this. When you're under constant mental pressure, your brain prioritizes survival. Cortisol increases glucose availability in the bloodstream to prepare for action. But in modern life, that action rarely happens. Instead of running or physically exerting yourself, you stay seated, and the excess glucose circulates. Insulin rises to manage it, and if this stress pattern repeats daily, the hormonal imbalance deepens. Chronic stress also reduces your sensitivity to fullness cues. Emotional eating becomes more likely, not because you're weak, but because your brain is seeking fast relief from discomfort. Sugar temporarily increases dopamine, the reward neurotransmitter. That creates a short-lived calming effect. But afterward, blood sugar drops again, and hunger returns. Sleep deprivation magnifies everything. When you consistently sleep less than your body needs, ghrelin rises and leptin falls. Studies show that even moderate sleep restriction can increase appetite the next day, particularly for calorie-dense foods. Your body interprets lack of sleep as stress, and stress increases the drive to eat. This is why someone can eat a normal amount of food on 5 hours of sleep and still feel unsatisfied. The hormonal signals simply aren't aligned. So, what does hormonal balance actually look like? It looks like eating a meal and feeling comfortably full for several hours. It looks like steady energy without dramatic crashes. It looks like being able to go between meals without panic or irritability. It looks like cravings that are manageable instead of overpowering. Rebuilding that balance takes consistency, not perfection. Start with stabilizing blood sugar. Build meals around whole foods. Include a clear source of protein: eggs, fish, poultry, legumes, Greek yogurt, tofu. Add fiber-rich vegetables or whole foods that slow digestion. Include healthy fats like olive oil, nuts, seeds, or avocado. This combination slows glucose absorption and reduces insulin spikes. Next, create structure. Constant grazing keeps insulin elevated. Allowing time between meals helps insulin levels fall and gives your body a chance to access stored energy. You don't need extreme fasting, just avoid mindless, continuous snacking. Strength training can also improve insulin sensitivity. When you build muscle, your body becomes better at absorbing glucose efficiently. That reduces blood sugar swings and lowers the intensity of hunger spikes. Walking after meals is another simple tool. Even 10 minutes of movement can help muscles use glucose directly, reducing post-meal blood sugar peaks. Prioritize sleep like it's a health intervention, because it is. Aim for consistent sleep and wake times. Reduce screen exposure before bed. Create a calm nighttime routine. Better sleep recalibrates hunger hormones more than most people realize. And perhaps most importantly, reduce chronic stress signals. Not by eliminating stress completely, that's unrealistic, but by improving how your nervous system responds. Deep breathing, time outdoors, journaling, prayer or meditation, strength training, and meaningful social connection all help regulate cortisol. When these pieces come together, something shifts. Hunger becomes a signal, not an emergency. Cravings become occasional, not constant. Eating feels steady, not chaotic. Your hormones are always listening to your lifestyle. And when you start sending better signals, they respond. There's one more piece that most people never consider: your gut. Inside your digestive system live trillions of bacteria that influence hunger hormones directly. Certain gut microbes help regulate ghrelin, leptin, and even insulin sensitivity. When your gut microbiome is diverse and balanced, appetite control tends to work more smoothly. But when your diet is dominated by ultra-processed foods, low in fiber and high in sugar, the balance of bacteria can shift. Some harmful strains thrive, inflammation increases, and hormonal signaling becomes less efficient. This can subtly increase cravings and reduce feelings of fullness. Fiber-rich foods like vegetables, legumes, fruits, nuts, and whole grains feed beneficial gut bacteria. As these bacteria ferment fiber, they produce compounds called short-chain fatty acids. These compounds help improve insulin sensitivity and enhance satiety signaling to the brain. In simple terms, the healthier your gut, the clearer your hunger signals become. Another overlooked factor is how quickly you eat. When you eat too fast, your brain doesn't have enough time to register fullness. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes for satiety hormones to fully signal the brain. If you finish your meal in 5 minutes, you can easily overshoot your body's actual needs. Slowing down, chewing thoroughly, and eating without constant distraction may sound simple, but it directly affects hormonal responses. And then there's the psychological side of hunger. Not all hunger is physical. Sometimes it's emotional, habitual, or environmental. Seeing food, smelling it, or simply being bored can activate the brain's reward system. This doesn't mean your hormones are broken, but it does mean awareness matters. The key is learning to distinguish true physiological hunger from emotional triggers. True hunger builds gradually and is satisfied by balanced meals. Emotional cravings tend to feel urgent and specific, usually for high sugar or high fat foods. When hormones are balanced, it becomes easier to recognize that difference. Now imagine what happens when you combine all these changes: stable blood sugar, adequate protein, better sleep, stress management, movement, improved gut health, and mindful eating. Your insulin levels become more stable, your ghrelin rises and falls predictably, your leptin signals become clearer, your cortisol stays within a healthier range. The constant noise of hunger quiets down. This doesn't mean you'll never feel hungry. Hunger is normal. It's healthy. It's a survival signal. The goal isn't to eliminate hunger, it's to make it trustworthy again. When your body trusts that food is coming regularly and that energy is stable, it stops sounding false alarms. Cravings lose their intensity. You stop thinking about food all day. Meals feel satisfying instead of frustrating. And perhaps the most important shift is this: you stop fighting your body. For years, many people try to overpower hunger with strict rules, extreme calorie restriction, or guilt. But the more aggressively you fight biology, the louder it pushes back. Real change happens when you support your physiology instead of suppressing it. Your hormones are not your enemy, they are messengers. If you're always hungry, they're telling you something is out of balance, not that you lack discipline. When you nourish your body consistently, sleep deeply, move regularly, reduce stress, and choose whole foods more often than processed ones, those hormonal signals begin to recalibrate. Hunger becomes steady, cravings become manageable, energy becomes predictable, and suddenly eating stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling natural again. So if you've been blaming yourself for always feeling hungry, it's time to stop. Your body isn't weak, it isn't broken, and you don't lack willpower. What you've likely been experiencing is a hormonal imbalance, a system that's been overstimulated by stress, poor sleep, blood sugar spikes, processed foods, and constant dieting. When ghrelin stays high, you feel hungry sooner. When leptin signaling is blocked, you never feel fully satisfied. When insulin is constantly elevated, fat burning slows and cravings increase. When cortisol remains high, your brain seeks quick energy and comfort. It's not a character flaw, it's chemistry. The good news is these hormones are responsive. They adapt to the signals you send them every day. When you build balanced meals with protein, fiber, and healthy fats, your blood sugar stabilizes. When you prioritize sleep, ghrelin and leptin begin to normalize. When you move your body regularly, insulin sensitivity improves. When you manage stress, cortisol stops amplifying cravings. Small, consistent habits create powerful hormonal shifts. You don't need extreme diets. You don't need to starve yourself. And you don't need to try harder. You need to work with your biology instead of against it. Because once your hormones are back in balance, hunger becomes what always meant to be: a simple signal that it's time to eat, not a constant battle you're trying to win. And when that shift happens, food stops controlling you. You start feeling steady, clear, in control, not because you forced it, but because your body finally feels safe and balanced again.